Hi, welcome to my tiny house. I'm Zanni. I've been traveling for 2 years and decided to stop and ground into a tiny house. I upgraded from 77 square feet to this. Welcome to my kitchen. I did this layout because I love to cook. I'm into natural foods and I'm an herbalist, so I convert this into my apothecary as well and make my herbal medicine here. My kitchen is small, but it's efficient and it definitely works for me. If I get bigger with my herbal business, I might have to have an apothecary, but I want to keep my footprint small because I love to travel and I don't want to have overhead of renting something somewhere else. So it actually works perfectly fine for me. So the layout for my kitchen, basically the plumbing was right where the sink is. So I had to work with what I had there. And I have deep counters, so I didn't have a whole lot of choice for the layout, except the refrigerator was going to be over on this side and the stove was going to be on that side. And this actually worked out better because now when you walk in, it's all open and you don't walk right into a refrigerator. I love that it worked out this way. My kitchen cabinets, I splurged on them. I bought them from a discount cabinet place, but they still were a splurge for me, but they're so nice because they have the soft close, which I love, and then I have so much extra storage for things that I don't use every day, but things I didn't want to get rid of because I actually downsized from a 3-bedroom chalet house in Vermont to the van and now this. So I'm happy I didn't have to get rid of everything. I think having a tiny house and having the budget that I had worked out perfectly for the cabinets. I mean, I would have had to cut off when I ran out of money. So it actually worked out almost to the penny, literally. So I'm very happy with the size of my tiny house. My favorite part about the kitchen are these shelves that my son hung about 10 minutes before he was getting ready to leave for the airport. And I love it because I get to display my pottery and I have some space for some of my bulk foods. I love that part. And I love my sink, my farm sink. I just think it's so pretty. It's such a statement in my kitchen and I love it. So this is my little cooking area. I have this tiny stove. I was thinking the other day, I probably could have done a bigger stove, but it was gonna be on this side and it really only had that much space, but you know, it works fine. And I did buy it new. It's not as great as some of the stoves that are out there in the world, but it works good for me. And this whole little section is great because I got this counter next to the stove and I'm probably eventually gonna put another counter here for my Berkey and my trash could go under it, something like that to make it look less cluttered. But it works and I love it because I can stand here and look out my windows. It's really pretty, so it worked out great. I opted for a normal size refrigerator because I like to cook and I have a great freezer. It worked perfect because it delineates the kitchen from the dining room and I get to use the side here for my grandchildren's artwork and whatnot. But it works perfect because when I'm at the sink, I got the triangle thing going on. I got the sink, the stove, and the refrigerator, which makes it flow really nice when I'm in here cooking. I love my kitchen here. What I really like about my tiny house, it has an old farmhouse feel. And I used to live on a farm in Vermont, 150-acre farm, 1802 house, and it was so sweet and quaint, and I feel like my tiny house has that kind of feel.
As someone who lives in a tiny home myself, I'm quite impressed at how Zanni has made her kitchen so functional with all the prepping and canning and everything she has to do for her herbal medicine business. I know firsthand that having limited kitchen space can make some of the more complex cooking processes pretty difficult. But there are lots of clever ways to have tasty, nutritious meals, even with limited kitchen space. And one of those ways is Wild Grain, who's the sponsor of this video. Wild Grain delivers frozen, ready-to-bake sourdough bread, artisanal pastries, pizza, and so much more. The first thing I love about it is that it's convenient. In my small kitchen, convenience is key. Trying to bake good bread from scratch in a kitchen this size is more of a chore than I want sometimes. With Wild Grain, I can just take the sourdough loaf or pastry out of the freezer, pop it into the oven, and in under 25 minutes, I have fresh baked goods. This is perfect for me. If I'm hosting friends from my tiny home community or my grandkids come for a visit, I can offer a few pastries or have fresh baked bagels on hand for an easy breakfast. The second thing I love about it is that it's healthy. All their sourdough uses is simple ingredients and a traditional slow fermentation process that gives it so much flavor and makes it easier on the belly. Also, none of their items contain any preservatives. So not only does it taste way better than your standard supermarket loaf, but it's also better for you. Every box is completely customizable, so you can order extra pastries if you're hosting or extra pasta if your schedule is busy and you know you're going to need a quick, easy meal. Wildgrain adds seasonal products and new products to their selection regularly, so I like to browse through those and see what catches my eye. They offer items for various dietary restrictions, which is great for me because I'm gluten sensitive and I can get gluten-free bagels and pasta. Wildgrain is committed to fighting hunger, so for every box you order, they donate 2 meals to a food security nonprofit of your choice. If you want to check out Wildgrain, you can use the link in the description. You can use the code TINYHOME30 at checkout, and they will give you $30 off your first box, as well as free croissants for life. Thanks, Wildgrain. Now let's check out the rest of Zanni's tiny home.
Now we're in the dining room / office, my herbal apothecary, and my entranceway. This is where I spend a lot of time actually, doing computer work, eating, and making herbal concoctions. This little dresser is my office space, basically. This is also filled with herbal tinctures and essential oils, so I use a lot of this when I'm making product. And I love this space because I have the door and I have the window that looks out to the jungle, and it's very breezy here, and I love my door. This door here is what sold me when I saw this tiny house. It must have been from an old factory store or something, but it is so beautiful. So before we move into the temple room, I would love to talk about this archway. When I first saw this tiny house and I saw the work that was done here, I was just so impressed. I just love, it's like, you know, Moroccan, it's very beautiful. And then the ceiling in here is layered, so it gives you like just a depth that you don't see in a lot of tiny homes. So this is the meditation temple room. I spent a lot of time here. I have a futon couch that converts into a bed, so it's great because I have a guest space. And my daughter-in-law built me this beautiful bookcase, so I get the height, you know, instead of, most bookcases don't go that tall, because I have quite a collection of books, which I only have a small amount in here, but it's so great to be surrounded by my books. And I have these 4 windows and then the big window that looks out to the yard, which is very jungly. And I have a lot of wildlife out here, birds and squirrels and snakes. And I just love sitting in here in the morning. This faces due east, so I get to sun gaze as the sun's coming up. And then in the morning, I clear out my basket and I put my yoga mat out here, so I have my yoga space, works fine. It's a sweet room, and I have a lot of candles in here, so at night I'll sit in here and I'll light the candles, and it just has such a peaceful vibe, and I really love this room a lot. So when my little grandchildren come in, there's a little bell outside that they have to ring before they interrupt me in the morning, because I do my morning sadhana. It's usually a couple hours, and they usually want to come out here and hang out. So they'll ring the bell, and if it's a good time, I'll invite them in, and I have these little meditation cushions, so they'll each take one and they'll sit here with me and we'll om together. It's been fun to share with my grandkids and teach them how to quiet the mind. After living in a van for 2 years and traveling, I really felt like I needed to stop moving. I was tired of waking up in a new place every morning, and I wanted to just ground. I love to garden. I like to have my hands in the soil, and you can't do that when you're traveling. So I didn't know where to go. I actually took the 2-year road trip trying to find my community, and I didn't find it. And my kids were like, why don't you live in our backyard? You know, even if it's temporary, just do it. And my daughter-in-law said, there's a tiny house for sale. And I had been looking. She said, and it's literally 5 miles away from here. We should go look at it. Went and looked at it. When I saw these front doors, I just fell in love with the tiny house. And I said, I really like this. Even though I didn't want to buy a shell, I said, you know what? I think I want to buy this tiny house. The price was right. It was 5 miles away, and I bought it. I made him an offer of $19,500, and he took it. And he took a loss because he paid, I think, $26,000 for it, but he just wanted to unload it. So I scored. So the tiny house is 35 long, 8.5 wide, 14 tall. So that's 397 square feet. So I upgraded from 77 square feet in my van to this big, beautiful home. I paid $19,500 for the shell, and I didn't really keep good records, but I had a bank account, and I have $1,000 left in that account, and I allotted 50 grand for this tiny house build. So I did it for just under 50 grand. When I had a home and I had a mortgage, big land taxes, and I had a job and I had a car payment, and when I sold the house, I paid all my debt off and had a chunk of money that I invested and was able to, you know, travel and take early retirement. I did take early retirement, which isn't much, but because I was debt-free, it was enough to enjoy life without having all those financial burdens that so many people do have. And it's heartbreaking to see. You know, I see my young kids having to work so hard to pay the mortgage. And so tiny living has totally given me financial freedom because I was able to pay for this outright. I have no mortgage. I help my kids out in payment for living here, but it's just been amazing because I still have gypsy spirit. I still want to travel. I have such a low footprint that I can do those kind of things. Coming through the kitchen, I have my steps, which are pretty much integrated into the kitchen. I use these little cubbies under here for my ball jars, which we used to drink out of. And then I have this antique chimney cabinet, which I keep all my teas and my baking goods. And then I have these two bigger areas that I store vacuum, brooms, stuff like that, and it's all hidden. And I love my steps because they're open. They don't have a rail, which people are so afraid that I'm gonna fall down my steps, but I won't, and I haven't. And I like it because it really flows. The whole energy in here is just really, it's got a good feng shui to it. Welcome to my bedroom loft. I really wanted a downstairs bedroom just because as I'm getting older too, coming up and down the steps, but it didn't work out. I would have given up my temple room, and I like to meditate and do my yoga in there. So I decided, okay, well, we'll do this for now. I don't have any storage up here except this bookcase, which I house some blankets and books and stuff like that. I don't really have a whole lot of storage in here for clothes. I basically have downsized my wardrobe, which was really hard for me because I am a Leo and I love clothes. But I also store some of the things that I don't wear regularly up at my kid's house. And I've been selling clothes on Poshmark, just trying to downsize and live with less. And it's working out pretty good. This is a queen size bed here. And I had that window over there put in so that I have some cross ventilation here. I got the skylight, which is really nice, brings in an element of light, and I get to look up at the live oak trees and watch them sway in the night, and I sometimes get to see the moon, which is great. It's a small bedroom. It works for me. I don't know, to share a bedroom this little with somebody else might be tough, but for me, it works out just fine. Welcome to my bathroom. So I have my wardrobe, and I did have a curtain up here, but I decided to take it down because I like to look at my clothes as art. So I have my little clothes rack, and then I have this baker's rack with the little IKEA bins, which works good. I have my linen closet in here, my clothes, and then all the little extra things like belts and socks and hats and whatnot. It's tight, and I'm constantly cycling through, taking things to Goodwill. I kind of have a rule: if I bring something home, I have to get rid of something. I'm not always perfect, but I try. Again, I use my bathroom like my artwork. I have all this jewelry here. I have my necklaces, and my son from Texas came out, and he does beautiful tile work, and he tiled my whole bathroom and helped me build this out. So I was really happy to have that, because this was the hardest room to figure out. It had this pan for the shower, and it had a window. It wasn't in, but it was ready to be put in. And I was like, how do I do this? Do I put the toilet over here with a window and have a smaller closet? And I opted to just have one long closet space, toilet here, sink there, shower. It works. I have an outside shower that I mostly use during the summer months. I use it now, even in the winter, but I love the shower. I really love what my son did. He put 2 little cubbies in there for, shampoo and whatnot. And it's got the shower stream head, which I really love. It's just really pretty. It's got a window, so it brings a lot of light in. It's really nice. I like my shower. I have a separate composting toilet. I just upgraded to this brand new one. I bought one used. It did not work. I decided about a month ago to get a new one. And it works great. It has a fan. It just sits on the floor. It vents out. It has a urine collector that goes outside into a 5-gallon bucket, so I can dump it a couple times a week. And I use it in my compost because it really helps to break down the compost. I love that. And another thing I like about my bathroom is I have this little cubby over here. It wasn't open to the kitchen, but I decided, why have an opening from your bathroom to your kitchen? So we closed it off. And it's created this little niche that I think is really cute. And I have my green goddess hanging in there. We're in my outside shower. This is absolutely one of my favorite parts of living in Florida in my tiny house, because I can be out here gardening, sweaty, it's like in the 80s or 90s, and I can just take my clothes off and come in here and rinse like 4 times a day if I want. So I love the shower. I have an on-demand hot water heater, which is great. And we just put some tiles down and put a couple walls up, and I have a shower. So this slab area, there was a very run-down shed here that literally had a tree fall on it. The roof was caving in. It had a screen porch that was all dilapidated, but we got a work team and we started demolishing that shed, then decided we needed to keep it because it wasn't as bad as we thought. And we had it moved off this slab, and then the slab became the perfect landing for the tiny house. And eventually I'll probably build a deck here and put a roof on it so that I have extra room. But for now, it works great for a sitting area because I get, in the morning, the sun's over there, so it's shady. And then by the afternoon, the sun is behind these trees and it's shady again. So it's really nice. I like my outside living space here. My life path for my career has been healing. I do herbal medicine. I am a massage therapist. I teach yoga. I do sound healing. And right now, I've only been in Florida for 2 months. So I'm trying to reach out so that people know where I am, who I am. I am on Instagram. I have my Van_Zanni account. I'm on Facebook, Zanni Lacey. And I'm right now building my website for my herbal business, which is Soul Root Botanicals. So that'll be a place that you can find me in the near future. I feel like choosing this path to live tiny has really opened up avenues for me as far as soul growth, because it's given me time to really contemplate life and to see how we create our realities, basically. And my reality has gotten smaller and smaller in the sense that I'm not so plugged into the worldly things. So I have more time to be in nature, work in my gardens, meditate, things that are really important that our society doesn't really stress. And I find them super important being here has given me the opportunity to share that with my grandchildren, which hopefully helps them as they grow into adults. I just want to thank you all for showing up and checking out my tiny house, and it's been really fun. Thank you.